And I think we're live, I guess. Yes, we're live. Awesome. Just a little testing. Hi, how you guys doing? I made it. I'm in Fort Mac. The first time I ever been in Fort Mac in my life. So I've just heard that the room's filling up because I've just learned today that there are buses coming from up north and they're busing people here in Fort Mac. And there's a lot of people coming here for McMurray. So I just learned that today. As I mentioned, this is my first time in Fort McMurray. I've never been to Fort McMurray before ever, so this is a completely new thing. I was in Okotos last night, so I was doing a recording for an event from Corey Morgan. I will be releasing soon, so I just wanted to see you guys where you're watching from. We have people from Mac, of course, obviously. So just put it on the chat where you guys are watching from. Let's see what we got here. So we got people. Oh, all right. So Adrian there, that's good. So let's take a look at how people are looking for. So tomorrow I will be in St. Paul, just for the record. Central Alberta. This is 5 hours from here. From Okotoks. I was there in Okotoks last night. Fort Sask, Rimbe. Does anyone know if Alberta will ban Jewish faith? I don't know. That's going to be a question. Shower Park. Nice laying up tonight. Yes. Westlock. Edmonton. Cowtown. Calgary. We got Lebridge. Grand Prairie. All good Grand Prairie. That's another place I've never been. Grand Prairie. So next time I go to Grand Prairie, I'm going to see some of my internet friends down there. That'll be good. Grand Prairie as well. We got there. We have people from Grand Prairie. Spruce Grove. Oh, yeah, Spruce Grove. Holy crap, we need it. Ponoka County. How, Max, you're sure putting all the mouse? Yes. You put all the mouse. Oh, and say the chain is on the back, so you can see there. Ponoka County. So what else do we got here? So we have people from... Oh, I'd say... I mean... Yeah, putting all the mounts, I probably fill the tank like 3 times today, because what I do is I fill the tank at half and fill the car right away. So I never run my car empty. So that's pretty good. I've just learned that this where I am right now used to be a bar. It's called the Broncos, and there were a lot of couples that were made from this place. So looks like looks like this place has a lot of history, right? Which is kind of cool. Oh, thanks for documenting all this. Will you put all the Rodfish on the Internet Archive after all? Well, Freedom Canada is a Internet Archive, but that would be good. Grand Prairie, Chris and friends are coming to Wembley next week. Yes, I think so. It's yeah, I'm working on live streaming those or not. Have to I got to check one of my schedules, and it's kind of weird. Lots of things are happening right now, and I also want to record an event or at least live stream an event from Didsbury that is not an independence event. It's more like a UCP related one. They're going to talk a lot about artificial intelligence and data centers and stuff, which can be very interesting. Oh, so yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see. So what I was told is that the show will start probably a little later, because they're going to accommodate the people who are kind of coming from the oil field. It's like, this is my first time I ever been to Fort Mac, so forgive me. Put in all the miles and everything, which is kind of cool, driving all across the province and all across Alberta and recording all those events is kind of unique on its own, right? Chris Scott's gonna join on the stream. He's gonna just share the stream apparently on his end. No to Brookfield data center. Yeah, I don't know if Brookfield is actually invested in data centers that much. I sincerely don't believe it's the case, but that's an event from Nate Glubich and the new MLA in Didsbury. I just don't know their name. Tara something. I don't know her name, but anyways, looking forward to perhaps live stream that event. I have to make some phone calls and not confirm yet, but that's my aim. So yeah, so just tell me where you guys are watching and drop some super chats, because that was very expensive getting here. driving all the way from Okotoks, actually. It took me a while to get here. Basically, took me 8 hours to get from Okotoks to here. So, just FYI, then that was very cool. So, what else do we have? Yeah, so that's what I have for now. Just want to see. So, the room's filling up right now. Oh, Edmonton in the house. Where exactly in Edmonton are you guys watching? Because I live in Edmonton, so I just want to see West End, East. Anyways. So the next time I be in Grand Prairie, I'm going to see some of my followers, I guess. That's my understanding. I don't know when it's going to happen, but touring the province is kind of cool too, right? So, hello from Marwayne. Marwayne. What exactly is that, Marwayne? Let me check. I never seen that name before. Marwayne, Alberta. Let me see where exactly is that place. Marwayne is a village in central Alberta, about 27 miles northwest of Lloydminster. Okay, fair enough. That's good. That's next town. That's good. That's west. Okay, fantastic. For McMurray, we got people from McMurray watching. Well, you can just join us from Fort Mac. That would be good. Hello from South Edmonton. That's awesome. South Edmonton. Ponoka County, fantastic. We got lots of people from Central Alberta watching, which is excellent. But yeah, and that's funny because I recognize one of my viewers here, which is kind of cool. Close to River Cree. Oh, fantastic! Sounds good. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to put this on hold, and I'll see you in a bit. By the way, I'm just scheduling other live streams right now, but just that it's happening so fast that I can't actually. I got to sit down and really bang my head against the wall and trying to figure out when I'm going to be and when and where I'm going to be. It's all about planning and everything. So once the live streams and once the dates are being set in stone, you're going to see that I will be showing that on social media and stuff. So today what's on the menu? Well, we had some Timbits and no, just kidding. We have Chris Scott as usual. Berta Proud Dad, which I never watched him before. I know that he live streamed or he did an event in Muslade up in the south, which is great. Kathy Flett and Adam Durgis. Adam Durgis, I kind of like it because he talks a lot about trying to talk to the undecided, right? Berta Proud Dad, never watched him before, like on a live setup, so that would be my first ever. Oh, we got some Sherwood Park people as well too. Kathy Flett is from Sherwood Park, so I gotta tell that you have your neighbors watching, which is kind of cool. We got people from Bonneville. Oh, that's Mitchville, as I call Bonneville. That's awesome. Bonneville. How many are you expecting this evening? Online or on premises? Because this thing... So I think seated capacity, they're estimating 300 people. That's seated capacity, but it's filling fast. I want to show the camera, the back camera, see if I can change the views here. Just give me 1 second here. So I'm going to change the cameras here so you can see the room, what it looked like. So it's filling up right now. And the reason why it's filling up, as I said, and this is something that I just learned today, is that they're expecting lots of people coming here, right, to this venue. But because they all work in the oil patch, they have to bus those people in town, and then they're going to join us here. So that's why the room is kind of half full, is because they're not here yet. They're being bussed here. So I just want to see if you guys, like, since I'm in Fort Mac, if there's any places I can go, either restaurants like Boston Pizza or something, that would be good. What is seated capacity there? Well, that's what you just said. Seated capacity, I think it's like 300. They have 300 chairs right now, like 280 or something. They want to expand eventually to fill the room as we can. So I was told that the venue we're at can host 600 people's seats. So that's good. Caddy Flett is the speaking archer from Sherwood Forest. Yeah, Sherwood Forest, that's good. All right, so great line of speakers. Yeah, so that's going to be good. Drop some super chats in E-transfer. That was very kind of you for those of you who were able to keep the ball going. I'm sincerely thankful for all the super chats and the E-transfers that happened this month. That is absolutely I'm very sincerely very thankful and very grateful for what you guys were able to help with this, because this video stuff, it's obviously a very hard thing to do. Lots of planning, lots of travel, lots of this, lots of that, and things along the way. So it's a huge sacrifice to do all those things for you guys, which is kind of cool. Okay, so we have Berta Proud Dad is better late than. I'm just looking at the comments here. Berta Proud Dad is a better late than never separatist. Oh. Yeah, exactly. Well, I was like this anyways. Like when I moved here to Alberta, I wasn't in favor of independence at all. I thought it was lunar. It was just insanity. And then I found out after watching streams and getting informed what was actually going on here, right? So, freedom training coming, yes. East Pub Village in this reach, very good restaurant. Oh, is that here in Fort Mac? I'm just gonna write it down. Just give me 1 second, because I'm holding the mic and writing on the other one. So, okay, so I'm just gonna take this East Pub Village. Fantastic. I'm gonna take this up there, and I'm gonna see what's actually going on there. Oh yeah, $10 super chat. That's awesome. Super sticker. Thanks a bunch. Drop some super chats. That's very helpful. That would be fantastic. Oh, by the way, in Morinville, I have about 1,472 people on the stream, rounded up to 1,500, watching the live streaming. That was awesome. I know that the video that I just made from Kit Wilson's speech, I think that video made up to probably 7,000 views in 2 days or something. That was pretty cool. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Mitch Sylvester's speech is good as always. I think you all guys like to know that kind of stuff, which is kind of cool. So I don't know if you can see in the room. I'm just gonna change the camera just a little bit here. Just a second. Just gonna change the cameras here. There we go. So we have more people in the back. You can see there's some people in the back there. So there we have it. So all right. So I'm gonna be there just watching. Oh, much respect for Keith Wilson. Yes, this guy is a beast. On that note, I know that I recorded 2 or 3 events from Jason Levine last week. I still have to go through their footage and make clips out of it so you can share with your friends and all that stuff, you know. Because essentially when I do a live stream, it's like one day after the other, so I have to sit down on my computer and make the clips. And yeah, so that was good. Much respect for Keith Wilson. Yes, on the chat. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, I'm going to do other things and babysitting the stream there and killing some trolls, because we might have lots of trolls today, which is kind of cool. All fun and amazing. I just want to see if Cat is going to come. Hey, Catty. I just want to try to bring her in. Oh. Of course I have a microphone. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Kathy. Want to talk to your people right here? All right, look at this. Oh,
nice. Kathy Flett. Oh, the speaking archer from Sherwood Park. Yes, he and I, we've been emailing back and forth. Who else have we got? Much respect for Keith Wilson. Absolutely.
You can't hold the mic.
Can I hold it? Okay.
Of course. I'm just gonna...
Who else do we have here, though?
Sit the camera a little bit here.
Okay. Let's see.
Kathy Flett is in the house.
I am. I am. Keith Wilson is awesome. That's right. I agree with that 100%. Berta Proud Dad. Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
We are going to hear from him. I got to meet him in person. I never met him before. Tonight's, and neither him or Adam. I haven't met either of them till tonight, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. It's gonna be very.
To hear what they have to say. I've never even heard them speak, so it's going to be new for all of us.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
I watch Adam many times.
Yeah.
But Adam, I watch him many times and I clip them, but I don't know about Berta Proud Dad. I never heard this guy before, so.
Oh, it's going to be good.
It's gotta be good.
It's going to be good.
So we have people all over the province watching. We have people from Lethbridge, Ponoka, even people from Grand Prairie watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you telling them they're going to be there next week? Are you coming with us? I don't know. There's a bunch of us that are going to
I know Peace River. I will be there.
You'll be in Peace
I will be in Peace River. I will be there on the 10th with Corey Morgan and Chris Scott and another guy. I don't remember, but I will be there. Yeah, Grand Prairie. That'll be good.
Well, Wembley, I guess, just outside of Grand Prairie.
Oh, that could be good. Yeah, I gotta check my schedule.
I don't know. But
I
we'll
gotta
see you
check
in
my.
Peace River anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be live streaming that event.
You know something about me?
Was that?
Okay, so 2 fun facts. The room that we're in right now, this is the room I actually lived in Fort McMurray for 20 years. And the room that we're in right now is where I met my husband. So that's kind of fun. And Peace River, where we're going to be next week, that's where I grew up. So I'm a Northern Alberta girl by trade. When I say that, that's what I mean. So there you go.
Oh, that's awesome. You see, that's meet a lot of people in here. Like, that's awesome. So, oh, we got people from Fort Saskatchewan. Oh, that's fantastic. Fort Sask. Highway 15. So, all right. So I'm going to take a look at this and babysit this stream. And I'm going to switch the cameras and see you in a bit. They're not just ready yet to sit here. So, yeah. I'll see you in a bit. And now I'm camouflaging. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's going to start soon. They're just waiting for the speakers to come in. Let's go Alberta, of course. Let's go Alberta, right? I like those chairs. Yeah, these are very comfy chairs. Oh, by the way, last night I only slept 4 hours because it was. Anyways, Peace River. We had Peace River there. That's awesome. Well, that's where I'm going next week. Actually, that's gonna be on July the 10th, I believe, or the 9th. Need to check my schedule. Cora Morgan will be there along with. Let me check my notes here. I think I can pull that out for you. Okay. Oh, that's in Hilda. Oh, that's not necessarily in Peace River. Okay, Peace River. That's gonna be on April the 10th. By the way, that will be at the Peace River at the Peace Valley Inn. Chris Scott will be there, Corey Morgan, as well as Kathy Flett. So I will be there and live streaming that event. If you want to take a look at this, if you want to put it on your schedule, that's going to be on the 10th, which is next Friday. So this is awesome. Thank you, Diane, for the chair. What event do you share? Did you? Oh, okay. So I was doing Naoko Talks. I was just recording an event with Corey Morgan. This is more like a UCP event that happened. So what they were trying to, so Corey Morgan was there, and he was talking about property rights, right? And how, so this whole thing happened after the incident that happened in British Columbia, in Vancouver, when they have those Indian bands that took over what we call Metro Vancouver, right? So what Corey Morgan was saying is that people need to get involved more if Alberta citizens don't want what's happening in BC happening in Alberta, something along those lines. So I have the video. It's on my computer. I just need to do some post-production work. It's not a live stream that much, but I will be releasing that in the near future, probably on Wednesday, probably on Friday or next week, something along those lines. But I do have the video on file, so I have to make some post-production work and share to the interweb there. So that's what I was doing in Naoko Talks, by the way. So kind of cool. That was facilitated with some UCP folks down there, which is kind of cool. So was that? Okay. Now the super train, or yeah, sure, absolutely. Hey, Bonnie, you got some neighbors from Ponoka, you see on the comments, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming here. 2-minute warning. We're going to start in 2 minutes. So please grab yourselves a seat. We're going to start soon. Yeah, for those people say that there's not a lot of people in the room, what I've just heard is that people are being bossed in, and there are people gonna come from the oil patch coming to this hotel, if anything. So.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thank you. Yes.
They're being bossed in. Well, because the information I was this is my first time, but the information I was told is that there are bosses coming in, and after that, new people will come. So that's why they have this. I didn't know this.
Okay, let's go.
You read?
The red one?
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming out tonight. We're going to get started here right away. Before we do, I will let you know where emergency exits are to the sides, and the bathrooms, if you go down the hall and to the right, you will see the men's and ladies' bathrooms there. And use whichever one you identify as. Our very first speaker tonight is Kathy Flett, and fun fact that she just told me, she met her husband in here when it was called Broncos, and it was a bar in here. So. She's been traveling around with us, and she's got a great take on independence. And at this point, I will welcome her up to take over.
Thank you, Leslie. It's been kind of fun talking to people around the room and how many of us remember when this was Bronco Billy's back in the day. That's about all we remember about it, because everything else after we walked in the door was a bit fuzzy. But yeah, I lived here for 20 years. This is where I was married, where both my babies were born. One still lives here, and now a grandbaby lives here. So it's fun. When they gave me the opportunity to come back to Fort McMurray, there was only one answer to that question: that absolutely yes, I would love to come back to Fort McMurray. Everything that is going on politically right now, politically ever, affects this area unbelievably. And unfortunately, not enough people realize that. So we're in this stretch now to try and help people realize that. My hope tonight, my goal this evening, is to give you guys some talking points when you leave here. Right now, we're in these conversations with people who don't quite understand why we want to be traders and leave this beautiful country that we live in called Canada. And I'm gonna give you some things that you can take with you that are not argumentative, they're just simply facts, okay? And then that way, while we're having these conversations on our way to that referendum, you will be armed and ready I always love to begin my talks with this quote. We desire, every patriotic Canadian desires, that the great trade of the prairie shall go to enrich our own people in the East, to build up the factories and the workshops of Eastern Canada, and contribute in every way to its prosperity. Those words were said in 1904 by Sir Clifford Sifton. He was the Minister of the Interior, and of course that's the year before we became a province. What most people don't know, because they failed to teach us this in school, is that Alberta and Saskatchewan are the only two provinces in this dominion of Canada who were colonized. There were no negotiations. There were no boardroom discussions. There were no talks. There were no anything. We were told, this is how it's going to be, and here is your first premier. We didn't even get to elect our first premier, who happened to be a Liberal. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Some things on that map have changed, especially the lines with the different provinces. Some have gotten a little bit bigger. However, what hasn't changed is the way the government structure runs. When you look at the map and you see how many MPs each province has, you'll quickly notice there's 2/3 as many in the East as we have in the West. They have 2 to every one of ours. Now we're told that's representation by population, right? But the math doesn't math when you remember what time the winner of the last federal election was called. Does anybody know? 8:09. What time do our polls close? 8 o'clock. So even if you voted for the winner, and for heaven's sakes, do not admit that publicly, but if you did, they did not need your vote to win. They didn't need your vote to win. They didn't need our votes to do anything because they don't count. The other thing that we need to know about how the federal portion of our government is structured is that the East also has 2 times the senators as we do here in the West. Now, they're supposed to be the sober second thought. We do not elect those guys in. Those are all appointed. We try here in Alberta. It's taken as a suggestion. But they're all appointed by the Prime Minister. Currently, all but a very small handful of those senators are Liberal appointees, Justin Trudeau appointees. So, if Pierre Poilievre had won, knowing that the Senate is stacked, would it have mattered? No. So when someone says, oh, well, we'll just gotta wait for a conservative government to get in, it doesn't matter. We can't vote those senators out. They're appointed. They're there until they do something really dumb and have to resign or turn 75 or die. That's how this works. So we here in the West, we can't fix it because it's not broken. This is how it's designed. So we decided to start having some conversations among ourselves. And for some reason, the folks in the East seem to think that this is all about pipelines. What better place to talk about pipelines than up here? Let's see. Energy East, remember that? Socially unacceptable. Keep your oil in the ground. Yet, do you know where the East gets the most of their oil and gas? Not from us. I thought we were supposed to be our own best customer. Isn't that what the Prime Minister just said? But we're not. And then it goes back up. But where do they get where do they predominantly get most of their oil and gas from? Saudi, thank you. And then they just got a nice big tanker full of natural gas, LNG, from Australia. Then we had Northern Gateway. We were like, fine, the East doesn't want us, let's go west. We had Northern Gateway. How did that turn out? It didn't. Again, we were shut in. So when people say, oh, well, you're landlocked. I know, thanks, tips. Our own government did it. Our own government landlocked us. So is this about pipelines? Yeah, but it's a symptom of the bigger problem. What about how many times have there been canceled projects up here? Right? Suncooler says, oh yeah, we're going to expand, we're going to do this. Or Syncrude says, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then somebody sneezes in Ottawa, and that's the end of it. And we can't vote that out. We can't vote that out. Then, oh, but Kathy, we bought you a pipeline, remember Trans Mountain? If people actually looked into that, it's a national embarrassment, is what that is. That is not a gift. That is a national embarrassment. Let's talk taxes. Equalization. I didn't even know this was a thing 7.5 years ago, and I would be fine going back to never knowing that this was a thing 7.5 years ago, because it's depressing. It's depressing. The same people who tell us that we can't have pipelines because your dirty oil needs to stay in the ground have no problem taking our money. No problem. And that equalization formula is such that our natural resources are counted, but Quebec's are excluded. So even when we're in a recession, which is more often than not over the last 15 years, Quebec, when a surplus, still gets our money. That works out to about $5,000 per person, not taxpayer, per person. Family of 4, what could you do right now with $20,000? You want to think about that. National debt. We'll take on the debt so you don't have to. Remember those words? How's that working out at the grocery store? Because you're paying the debt back now through inflation. The loaf of bread is still the loaf of bread. Nothing has changed about the loaf of bread. What has changed is how many dollars you need to buy that loaf of bread so you can feed your family. Ottawa did that, and we can't get rid of it. How many of you have heard about this new thing they're floating around, the home equity tax? I wondered about 5 years ago when I first saw that question on my T1 Gen at tax time, do you own or rent? And I thought, why do you care? Now we know. Now we know. They're coming after the equity in your home as well. So we talked about pipelines, we talked about taxes. It actually goes deeper than that. Let's talk morality. The last poll that I read said that 17% of Canadians feel safe. 17%. I remember a day, and perhaps you will as well, when we would leave the keys in the ignition of our unlocked vehicles outside of our unlocked homes while we slept all night, so we didn't lose the key to the car because we already didn't know where the house key was. And in some places you maybe can, but in most you certainly cannot. Those days are done. We didn't do that. We didn't vote that in. We didn't make these changes. That all came from the East. Human trafficking has skyrocketed. These are not our values to treat people like that. And the one that just angers me to no end is now judges are being told when someone is in front of them. I don't see any kids in the room, so there are no kids? Okay. When someone is in front of them, a perpetrator who has raped and molested a child, that judge is being told to consider how their sentence might affect that man's immigration status. Yep. These are not our values, and we can't vote it out. There's nothing that we can do to get rid of it. We don't have the votes in Parliament. We don't have the votes in the Senate. So we've been having a little chat among ourselves to talk about what options we do have. What can we do to make a change? And the first thing that started to happen was we're like, oh, we do have this Clarity Act. Maybe we need to flesh that out a little bit more and talk about that. And the minute we started to get a little bit more loud and a little bit more boisterous about it, what did they come back at us with? You can't leave. My first thought was like, well, now we're going to have to, just to prove you wrong. But that's what they said. You can't leave. Nobody asked us why we might want to. Just that you can't. You can't. So then we said, okay, we're going to keep talking about this. And they said, do you know what you'll be giving up? I made a list. This is what we'll be giving up. Living under a government that delights in stifling our growth, caused numerous politically induced recessions, landlocked us through policy, regulates everything possible because that's the next best thing to nationalizing it, steals our money through taxation, launders it to benefit themselves and their friends, believes in open borders so anybody can walk in, and they do. We've got unbelievable levels of Chinese interference in our political system while doing deals with China, extortion being carried out by Indian gangs here in our borders, including Alberta, while doing deals with India. Now apparently we've got Mexican drug cartels, all of which continue to destroy our relationships with our largest trading partners down south. We've got censorship laws that are just being passed, a gun buyback program. 2 courts ruled that invoking the Emergencies Act was indeed unconstitutional, and all Ottawa did was say, we'll appeal it. And just this week, the Prime Minister is now demanding that the Supreme Court strip provinces of the right to pass their own laws. That's what we'll be leaving. I'm not seeing a downside. I'm not seeing a downside. What we'll be gaining is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And I encourage you guys to have a look at that. If you go onto my website, kathyflett.ca, there's a video there where I walk through some of the things that we'll be gaining. And maybe some of the other speakers will talk to you about that tonight as well. But the long and short of it is, we've got one chance, guys. One chance in October to vote our way out of this. And I don't say that lightly. That is not the day to stay home. That is the day to get up, to get out there, and to make history on that referendum. That is the day you pull your kids out of school and say you're going to come and watch Mom and Dad, because we're making history. We're going to make a change for you, for your generation, and for your kids' generation. And if your friends and your family or your neighbors are not getting out of their house to go and vote, you say, listen, we need to have a chat, because the status quo can't stay. It's not working for us, and it never has. It's time to become the Republic of Alberta. Thank you. Our next speaker, you should have seen him online quite a few times. If you haven't, you need to look him up. He's pretty good. And then he'll get on there and he'll say, you know, I have this idea. It sounds a little bit crazy, but I'm not usually wrong. And then boom, there it happens. So here we got to welcome, I'm just so excited I got to meet you in person too for the first time. This is great. I love these tours. Please welcome to the stage, Adam Durgis.
That was awesome. Kathy's great. Jeepers. Way to go. That was awesome. Where do you want me? Over here? Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Adam Derges. Originally from Saskatchewan, as all the best people are, but I've been an Alberta resident for quite some time here. Just out of curiosity, who in this room has not made up their mind on how they're going to vote in this referendum yet? Is there anybody? Okay, good. I'm really glad to see that. So I'm going to ask a favor of the rest of you who have made your mind up. Get your friends and the next time we're doing some of these things, get your friends and family and bring them out, because we are not going to win this referendum by preaching to the choir. Okay? This is going to require a group effort from everybody in order to educate everybody so that this is an informed decision. Okay? Because this is going to be, for everybody in this room, everybody in this province, this is the most important vote of our lifetime. In fact, this is the most important vote on planet Earth this decade. It is without question, it is going to be the most important vote this planet will see this decade, one way or another. This one really matters. So it's important that we make it an informed decision. So you two fine gentlemen, and I think there's maybe a couple more, thank you for coming and having an open mind and doing this. It means a lot. Really grateful you guys are doing that. We just need more, okay? So I'm going to expand a little bit on what Kathy talked about. At least for what this thing means to me, okay? And everybody's going to have their different reasons for how they vote in this thing. Everybody's got to make the vote that, you know, is right for them. But for me, this thing comes down to values. I was the most patriotic Canadian that I knew. I can't even tell you how many times I'd be overwhelmed with emotion and well up with tears, you know, at a hockey game, you know, hear the like, honest to God, I was a very emotional Canadian, a very patriotic Canadian. And it makes me really, I don't know, I guess sad that that song doesn't even matter to me anymore, because I feel like it just doesn't represent what I believe in anymore. And, you know, I believe in democracy. I believe everybody should get to vote based on what they want. I would never tell anybody that, you know, your vote is wrong and mine is right, or vice versa. But it gets to the point where you start to look at it and you go, geez, I don't think we're on the same team anymore. For a lot of us, you know, the people who have made up their mind, I like to sort of think of it as, where was your line, right? The line where you went from going, you know, I'm all in on Canada to, I got to get off this ride. And for a lot of people, it was the last federal election, right? Because, you know, we'd seen this 10 years of whatever the hell that was under Trudeau. I still don't even know how to describe it. And you think, okay, this is it. We're going to get a change. And, you know, Kathy's right. The truth is, I'm not sure it would have mattered that much if Poilievre would have won, because the way the Senate and everything works. But when the rest of Canada said, we want more of that, that was the day for a lot of us that we went, yeah, we're not on the same team, right? And again, I don't view values as right or wrong, but the truth is, I don't care where you sit in this country, like what side politically, your age, your viewpoints, your race, your religious beliefs, anything. There's not one person in this country that can say that this place isn't dramatically different today than it was 12 years ago, right? Like, it's a different country. The difference in views on that is that a lot of people in this country view that as progress. And the other people miss the good old days. And I miss the good old days. I'm going to show you just how divided we are as a country, okay? I did some analysis. Okay, we have this illusion that our elections are closer than we think they are because there's 4 left-wing parties in Canada and 1 right-wing party, right? So on the left, we've got the Liberals, the NDP. Oh, God, did you guys see that convention? We were laughing back there that if like we took the 3 funniest people in this room and got them to design a script that they had to follow to sewer that party, we couldn't have come up with that. Were they? Yeah. Anyway, so enough of those guys. So on the left, we've got the Liberals, the NDP, the Bloc, and the Green Party. And I know the Green Party is only 1 or 2%, but still, there's 4, right? And then we have 1 right-wing party. And so we have this illusion that things are a little closer in Canada than we think in terms of like the way we vote. But I want to share with you guys some numbers. Okay, so in the last federal election, Alberta and Saskatchewan voted about 63% Conservative, okay? By the way, do you know what the #1 riding in terms of Conservative votes in Canada was? The last federal election? Right here, 80%. Congratulations. Yeah. So 63% voted right in Alberta and Saskatchewan. The rest of Canada, so if you take Alberta and Saskatchewan out of Canada and look at the way the rest of Canada votes, they're 62.5% left. Now I want to show you guys how skewed that is, okay? California, in their last federal election, voted 57% left. The rest of Canada is 6% further left than California. When you look at it that way, you start to go, holy cow. Now, what do you guys think the chances are of California voting the Republicans in anytime soon? Right? Like 0. California is, statistically speaking, California is more likely to vote in a Republican than the rest of Canada is to vote Conservative. Guys, we're not on the same team anymore. Would any of you be in a marriage or in a business relationship or any sort of team with somebody that wanted completely different things than you, right? Could you be married to someone who, you know, they want to go over here and we want to go over here? I'm not talking about politics, just in terms of like the goals for your family. How do you think that would go? Wouldn't go very well. Would you get into business with someone who wanted to take the company in this direction, you want it to go in that? Like, of course not. And again, it doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. It just means you want two different things. It's pretty much a guarantee one of you is going to be disappointed, right? And if this were a business relationship, the one who gets to make the decision is the one who owns more of the shares. Well, guess who the minority shareholder is in Canada? We don't get a say, as you know. But that's why this referendum is so cool. That's why it's so neat, because we get to say, this is the vote that's ours. This is our vote, and it's only ours. So the little peanut gallery who chimes in on Instagram from Toronto or Quebec or wherever telling us dumb rednecks that we don't know what we're doing, well, I guess, we'll see. Right? This one's just for us.
No, the bots.
The bots, yeah. So it's really exciting that we get to do this one and it's just ours. But there's another difference in this referendum compared to every other election we've ever had, even our provincial ones. So as you all know, when we're voting in a provincial election or a federal election, if Fort McMurray, if you guys would have had 50.1% of the vote or 80% of the vote voting Conservative, the result would have been the same. It wouldn't have mattered. That's not how this one works. This one is a popular vote. So that excess, right, going way beyond 50%, that carries some weight. It matters a great deal. That's why it's so important, because the truth is, like, nobody in this room had to vote in that last election for you guys to get the riding here, right? This one's different. It's structured differently. Every vote counts, and that's why we all have a job to do. So actually, I'm going to say, no matter which way you're leaning, what I would highly, highly recommend you do is educate yourself, but then also really work to make sure other people make an informed decision. It's critical that we all do it because everybody has to live with this one. I went through a divorce in 2023. At the time, I thought it was, hardest thing it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I have no illusions that this is going to be easy. It's going to be painful. There's going to be a lot of emotion. Like we'd be breaking up with Canada. That's a big deal, you guys. That's a big deal. Now, in my personal marriage, it wasn't a very good marriage, and my ex-wife would say the same thing. A lot of it, we were staying together for the kids. This divorce from Canada, the way I look at it is we have to break up for the kids. Because I don't know how my kids are going to get ahead. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to buy their first house without my help. I don't know how anybody gets ahead with $100 bag of groceries. This referendum is critical. Now, for the people that haven't made up their mind yet, I don't know that I gave you any points that would sway you today, but what I would really strongly encourage you to do, there's a gentleman named Keith Wilson. Okay, does everybody know Keith Wilson in this room? Okay, so Keith Wilson is the voice that I believe, he's the voice that I trust the most in terms of both his integrity, but his knowledge on the subject. So Keith's a constitutional lawyer. He knows this stuff inside and out. He knows the rules better than anybody. One of the things that, Kathy touched on this a little bit, about the difference between Alberta and Saskatchewan and the rest of Canada, right? Like, yeah, we were colonized in that. But there are a couple of other big changes as well. So if you're talking to someone in Ontario or BC and they'll say, what are you talking about? You can't separate even if you want to. They're right for them. Because their rules are different. Their treaty rules are different. The ownership of the land is different. The mineral rights are different. They're different. Alberta and Saskatchewan, even though we're landlocked, we have, from the way that we're set up, we have ceded lands, like the land rights are different, all those things. The only two provinces who actually have a very, very clear path to separation are Alberta and Saskatchewan. So anybody's telling you can't, that's not true. But anyway, with Keith Wilson, you guys, look him up. He's on podcasts like crazy. I've had him on my podcast a couple times. He's going on a podcast tour. This guy, there is not a question on this topic he can't answer, and he's right about what he's saying. He's right. And what I'm confident, to you undecideds, is that when you do your research and you truly look at this, you will see that the answer is very, very clear and obvious. The only answer that says we should stay in Canada is the romantic one. The one where it's just you're patriotic, and I get that, and I respect. I'm not mocking that in any way. In any way am I mocking that. That's the only one that holds. It's like till death do us part. I'm staying no matter what. Okay, I get it. I respect it. But if you look at it logically from almost every perspective, it's very difficult to find a reason to stay. It really is. So anyway, I'm going to challenge you all to get brave and to educate people and to get loud and wear, like, you know, put a sticker on your trunk. Put a wear a hat. Like show people that this is what you're about. Right? It'll spread. That's how you do it. Be a walking billboard. Okay, guys. With that said, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. No stranger to anybody in this room, I'm sure, but my buddy Laurence, aka Berta Proud Dad. So we've been buddies for probably 6 or 7 months. I think he's the only guy I talk to more than my girlfriend. We talk pretty much every day. Yeah. And we always joke that I'm the good cop and Laurence is the bad cop. We work together a lot on, you know, different ideas and different things. And I'll tell you, you know, this guy cares about this province like nobody I know. Sort of got like almost like a Don Cherry mentality about things, right? So I love him like a brother. You guys all know who he is. Berta Proud, Laurence, come on up, buddy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Berta Proud Dad, and I make videos on the internet. Well, how do you follow that up, right? Because they basically said everything I wanted to say. But to be honest with you, I haven't been for independence for a long time. So the undecided in the room, I was undecided months ago. I didn't know how this was going to work out. I couldn't see it happening, to be honest with you. I was a little stubborn. If any of you have been following me for a while, you knew I pushed Pierre Poilievre hard in Battle River Crowfoot. I stood behind Pierre through and through. He was my boy. So much that Pierre called me on the phone. I was at the Calgary airport, and he said, you know, Berta Proud Dad, thank you so much. You inspire me to be a Canadian. Months later, I'm sitting here in front of a bunch of people, and I want to leave Canada. So how did I get there? I walk all the time, too. This is going to be so hard. I walk everywhere with a microphone. How did we get there? Well, the election, like Adam said, right? The election was a big one for me. How about MPs crossing the floor to steal your democracy? Because that's what that is. Constituents go to a polling station, they put a vote in, and they expect to be represented. So what happens when an MP crosses the floor in Canada? But what happens to them, though? They get promotions. They get bought off. And that's your tax dollars. So there's a reason to support Alberta independence. You can have Michael Maw cross the floor. You live in Alberta, and Mark Carney gets closer to a majority. Right? That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Matt Genereux, right out of Edmonton, does the same thing. He told the Conservative Party, I'm going to quit. I'm not going to come back. I got family issues. Right? Nothing happened. That right there alone would be a reason to at least look at Alberta independence. At least, give it a good hard look. Does anybody know what the debt was when Stephen Harper left office in 2015? Anybody? No, the national debt. Canada's national debt. $500 billion, that's correct. Does anybody know what it is today? 1.3 trillion. So 2015 to 2026 were 1.3 trillion. 1867 to 2015 were 500 billion. Can anybody do the math there? That's probably another reason to leave. Right? Yes, sir. Well, there you go. Who holds the debt? There you go. There's China, right? There's the United States. It's all a joke, right? It's all a joke. So when I sit there and I make these videos on the internet, I'm pissed off, obviously. I'm angry because I own a home. I had a job until I started talking shit about Justin Trudeau. Now I sell t-shirts. I'm a grifter. Yeah, where was my promotion, right? Why aren't I there in Ottawa? The first time I attended one of these, that's a great question. Where was that? It was in Chestermere. This was months ago. Nice. I was in Baghdad in 1979.
Joseph, why? If you have questions for the audience, guys, we just can't hear you. We're just going to have a Q&A, and then you can ask all the questions, okay?
But I like that. Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think a lot of us are. Because I'm a husband, I'm a father. Like I said, I own my house, right? I'm doing what I'm doing. It's not for me. It's for the future. It's for kids, so, you know, they might be able to own a home. It's for values. Kathy touched on values. Because I could talk about money all day, right? We can make this all about money, and it's going to make sense, and you know what? You're going to want to leave Alberta. What about the values? What about the nuclear family? This is the last conservative stronghold in this country. People from Saskatchewan, they can fight me on that all they want, Adam. But this truly is the last conservative stronghold. And if we don't keep fighting for that, we will lose it. I went to Halifax last summer, not because I wanted to go visit Halifax. I wanted to see what conservatives in Halifax were like. Conservatives in Halifax are liberals. That's what they are. Well, family show. But they are. They're liberals. And that's fine. You know what? You can have that in Halifax. You can have that in Ontario with Doug Ford. But you're not going to do it to Alberta. Not if I'm here. And hopefully not if you're here. And that Adam touched on this. You know, who are those hands that are undecided? One over there, one over there. That is huge that you're here. That is big that you're here. All the other ones, yeah, thank them for being here. That's normal, right? And that's okay. At least you told them. But tell more. And I would be free and open to answer any questions you have. And the best part about this is if I don't know, we can look it up together and learn something. Because what you see on the internet, which I go through every single day, is you can't do this. Well, guess what? I spent my whole life of people telling me I can't do something. So I'm doing it. And I'm going to vote in October, and I'm going to vote yes, and I'm going to take my adult children with me and my child who's a minor, and she's going to see what this is all about, what democracy is about. My kids already know how democracy is broken in Canada. I didn't have to tell them. They can feel it. They see that their mom and dad could work hard, buy a home, and they can't. They already feel it. So when it comes down to Alberta independence, ask yourself, are you not for it because you just can't see it happening? Or is there actual real reasons for that? Because everybody I actually deal with, on the internet anyway, half of them are bots, it's just it can't happen, Berta Proud Dad. It's never going to happen. Right? Well, how many people have you seen out there who are very successful people who were told the whole time throughout their climb to the top that it was never going to happen? And they didn't back down. I love it when somebody tells me I can't do something. Right? I got called fat so much on the internet that I started working out. So I got to figure out my next goal. Get rich. Tell me I can't get rich. Somebody. You're not going to get rich. Thank you. I should do stand-up comedy. But in all reality, though, there's a lot of good speakers that are on this tour. I like coming because I learn something new every day. I'm a numbers guy, and I could talk to you about numbers. I can talk to you about money, like I said. But I want to, it's the values. We're going to lose those if we don't fight for them. And if you don't have kids yet, or you're planning to have kids, or you're going to be a grandparent, Berta Proud Mom's back there. We're going to be grandparents in July. Can't wait. That's who we're doing it for. That's who matters here. And, you know, if you are one of the undecided and you want to ask me questions, feel free. I'm not here to convince you. But what I ask of everybody who's already here, who is on our side, who I'm not saying you guys aren't on our side either, who aren't for it, but, you know, maybe you just need a little nudge like I got from Adam. Because Adam was the guy who stood up or sat up till 11 o'clock. He wasn't supposed to say we talk all the time late at night while his girlfriend's sleeping, but he did. But the thing is he's the one that pushed me over the finish line, him and Chris Scott. I told him it's not going to happen. I was literally the people in my comment sections. I was that guy. Guess what? It has to happen. If it doesn't, we're done. Have the conversation. So bring the people. And you don't have to be rude about it. You don't have to sit there and bully somebody into your beliefs. But ask them simple questions. Do you know what the debt was in 2015? The national deficit or the national debt. Ask them a question like that. $500 billion. Well, you tell me in 11 years how it goes up $800 billion and you should be okay with that. There's no reason for that. None. We are a natural resource rich country. Kevin O'Leary said it best. We have all the natural resources in the world. It is very poorly mismanaged. Imagine us, well, look at that, Danielle Smith. We have a deficit, right? Everybody's bitching and whining about the deficit. Why do we have a deficit? Well, mass irresponsible immigration is one of them, right? It costs us $500 million due to irresponsible immigration just in our school system in this province. $500 million. We got to start controlling that. So my name is Berta Proud Dad. I support Alberta independence, and I just want all of you out there to bring more people to these kind of events and talk to those people. And by all means, get in my DMs. I will have a phone conversation. I will schedule time. I will literally sit there and FaceTime whoever I have to just to ask them simple questions. All right, I was told to shut up. So the next speaker is probably the best restaurant owner ever. He's got really good cinnamon buns. Gordon Ramsay. No, Chris has become a really good friend of mine. I've been following Chris before Chris even knew who I was. I super fanned over him, which was weird. And the guy's given up a lot for his business, to promote, rights and freedoms of Albertans, given up a lot for this province, and he has given up a lot of his time to get this done and to educate people just like Kathy and many other people out there. So I appreciate each and every one of you. If you would help me introduce Mr. Christopher Scott from the Whistle Stop Cafe.
Well, that was awesome. How many of you, is that the first time you've heard Laurence speak in public like that? Yeah, well done. I got one problem, though. I don't recall spending hours talking to you into the wee hours of the night. Like, seriously, what's going on here? Yeah. Okay, well, as some of you might know, I just got back to Canada. Jessica and I just got back to Canada today. We were in Kansas, we were in Missouri, and then in Kansas for about a week, doing some stuff down there. It was absolutely fantastic. And guess what we did down there every time we had a conversation with an American? No. We talked about Alberta. Why did we talk about Alberta in the United States? Because it doesn't, well, that's a good point. It doesn't matter who we're interacting with or who we're talking about. We need to have conversations. And the conversations I had in, whether it was St. Joseph, Missouri, or Kansas, Missouri, or Kansas, they went fantastically because Americans, they've kind of been through this before. Did you know that? There was a time when Americans, they actually kind of fought a war over a 2% tax. How much tax do we pay? Yeah, we don't even want to talk about how much we pay. In my conversations with people all over the world, whether it's in Canada or the United States or Holland or Thailand or wherever, the conversation always kind of goes like this. Oh, you're from Alberta, Canada, right? And I'm like, no, Alberta. I'm from Alberta. Oh, why do you say it like that? Well, let me tell you, this is why. And people have no idea that that's actually happening here in Canada, here in Alberta. They have no idea that it doesn't matter if Western Canada votes all one way for all the same thing, the vote's over at the Manitoba border. They don't know that, and it's hard for them to believe. It's hard for people to comprehend that for 121 years, actually a little bit longer if you count the colonies and the territories, that there have been people who have been okay with being taxed and policied and governed without having a real way to influence those things. They can't believe it. Across history, on numerous occasions, all sorts of regions or countries or provinces or whatever have stood up and said, no, enough is enough. We do not consent to being governed like this. We want to do it on our own and chart our own course forward. That's kind of how countries are born, right? Whether it happens with, with a war, which nobody wants to see, or a velvet revolution, which is much more pleasant. These things happen all the time. This isn't a new concept that people collectively decide that they don't consent to the governance structure in which they find themselves at that time. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is there's nothing new under the sun. This isn't new. And even in my lifetime, there have been a number of regions or countries that split into different sovereign nations. It's kind of just the way things go. When a group of people gets to a point where their values no longer align and they're not compatible, they have a decision to make. They're either going to try to be governed under the same structure, the same laws, the same constitution, and have somebody miserable all the time, or they're going to grow up, they're going to be the adults in the room, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? We can be good neighbors. We don't need to be married. That's what this is about. That's where Alberta is at right now. And I could stand up here and I could talk to you about all the problems and inequities and inequalities that Alberta's had within Confederation and British Columbia and Saskatchewan for that matter. But there's something actually more important, because even if, whether you're on the yes side of the conversation or the no side of the conversation, you must know that Alberta really doesn't have a voice within Confederation. You must know that by now. I mean, we've seen that for 121 years. We've seen it. And in the last 15 years, after two Trudeau governments and then another Liberal government that was won, the campaign was won on the idea of elbows up, we're going to fight the United States by dumping liquor on the ground, it became very and painfully obvious that no matter what Alberta does, we will not be respected enough that we can determine what our future is going to look like. That is a big problem. And the reason why it became so relevant early this year, was that this year? Or has it been a year already? Man, it's been a year. Last year. Is because so many people had been feeling something for years while being patriotic, being part of Canada, wanting to fix everything. They've been feeling something. And when we witnessed the election again being called at what time? Do you remember? 8:09, before our ballot boxes were even opened, that feeling transformed into knowledge that resulted in action. So their feeling transformed into the knowledge that, okay, this really isn't working, and now we have to do something about it. Well, some seeds had been planted, some of them right in this room. I was in this room with my friend Mitch Sylvester not too long ago, maybe within a year or so. It's all a little bit blurry to me, sorry. And we planted some seeds. And before that, maybe a year and a half before that, we were here again. And actually, Mitch was here. He spoke to like 9 people once. Or no, that was me. That was at the Islamic Center up on the hill there. There was like, I think 20 people. We came to do an Ambassadors of Alberta Independence tour, teach people how to talk about Alberta independence and bring people to our side. So what I'm saying is, we've been having these conversations for years, and it didn't just start with me or what I'm doing or what any of this group is doing. It actually started back in 1905. And that's because there were a lot of people that didn't really want to be governed in that way without being able to influence the outcome of the government. So this isn't a new thing. But we have this interesting kind of perfect storm where people, just like you and just like me, for one reason or another, decided that they were going to switch on and start paying attention to what was going on around them. Start really digging into it. For me, the trigger for me was laying in a jail cell for protesting. That was kind of like a pretty big wake-up call, like thinking about there's a chain on my restaurant and the government has actually taken my property, not the government, a pseudo-governmental organization has taken my property. I don't have the rights I thought I had, and my worldview changed. So I had a feeling, and then that feeling changed into a knowledge that something was really wrong, and it prompted me to act on that. Because what's the point of standing here talking about all of the problems? We all know what the problems are. How we're going to deal with it, and the solution is what's the important thing here. So for those people who would say, we just need to, and this includes you, Danielle, and you, Pierre, who say, we just need to fix things and be united within Canada. I'm sorry, but that will not work. And the reason it won't work is because there's nothing to fix. It's not broken. The situation we're in right now isn't by accident. It's not because it's not working correctly. It's because it's working exactly the way it was intended to all along. And Kathy started off her speech explaining exactly why. The thoughts of the federal ministers and the Minister of the Interior, Clifford Sifton, back then reflected exactly what the system was supposed to be. The Dominion of Canada was a business deal so that the Crown could maintain colonial control over the Western provinces and use their resources to build up Canada, which consisted of Quebec and Ontario. Period. And if you don't believe me, there's plenty of examples throughout history. Look up my friend Rick Strankman. He went to jail for selling his wheat that he grew. He went to jail for selling it in the United States because the government said, no, Western Canada, you can't sell your stuff anywhere except to our people in the East to enrich their lives, build up their factories and places of work. So this isn't something that's broken. And even constitutional changes, really, we want to try and fix these things with constitutional changes. Okay, we need to first of all make sure we have adequate representation. Right now, it's completely skewed. We cannot influence the outcome of a federal government unless Eastern and Central Canada, for some reason, are really divided and we become a swing vote. We don't have enough senators. We don't have enough Supreme Court representation. We just can't do it. The system is designed the way it is so that things remain the same. But now we're at this interesting point where we've realized, okay, we've tried these things. We had this referendum on equalization. 62.8% said we don't want to pay equalization anymore. Nothing happened. We've got all these things that we talk about doing and it doesn't work. We have to beg the federal government for scraps and crumbs. We have to watch them bungle private enterprise pipeline deals that end up costing the taxpayer billions of dollars because of federal policy. And there's not a damn thing we can do about it, pardon my French. Changing the Constitution is all but impossible. There is a way that we can do it. There's a provision to do it. It involves Ontario and Quebec agreeing that that has to be done. So Quebec, who benefits roughly $13.5 billion from Alberta every year, would have to decide, okay, we no longer want that. And actually, they probably would, but that's a different story. Ontario has to agree. 7 out of 10 provinces have to agree with 50% plus one majority. The Senate has to pass it. The House of Parliament has to pass a majority vote agreeing to amend the Constitution. And even if all those things were done, Quebec still has a veto. and really are the beneficiaries of the current system that subjugates Alberta and uses our resources to build up their factories and workshops and contribute to their lives, are they going to change it? No, they don't have to. They could leave it the way it is, hoping that Albertans will be lazy and continue doing the status quo because we don't want to do the hard thing, because independence is not going to be easy. Like Adam said, it will be hard. It's the path less traveled. It's a new frontier, but it's necessary. So we have this incredible opportunity ahead of us. We're literally going to reach out and touch it right away here in October. That's going to come very, very quickly. Now, this opportunity that we have is asking you, as a human being, in the most basic terms, do you consent to being governed the way in which you are right now? Do you consent to being governed under a system that taxes you but won't represent you? Do you consent to being taken along for the ride by a larger group that does not share your values? And when you're asked that question, the question is going to be something like this. It might not be exactly this. It'll be something like, do you agree that Alberta should cease to be a province within Canada and become an independent state? State meaning nation, not a united state. Now, I want you, everybody, including those of you in internet land, to understand the ramifications of this and the opportunity here, the magnitude of that question. Our neighbors to the south, the United States, they demanded that they be able to answer that question. Did they go to a ballot box and just tick a box to do that? How did they do that? How did the United States gain their independence from Britain? With a lot of lives before anesthetic, before antibiotics. Like, hideous things happened. Some of the things that I saw, Civil War stuff in the United States, is like, you can't even comprehend what they had to do to gain their independence, to be given that opportunity to answer a question like that. All over the world, people have fought wars for hundreds of years to gain the ability to self-determine. They've sacrificed millions of people to be able to answer that question. And you folks, you Albertans, you get to answer that question from the comfort of a ballot box in private with no fear of reprisal. And the only thing you have to do is sacrifice a little bit of your time. This is possibly the greatest gift that will ever be given to the people of Alberta. Ever. Ever. Short of the good news of Jesus Christ. But the gift that you have requires you to use this thing. I'm pointing at my head, talking about my brain, talking about your brain. You have to think about this. You have to know what the question is, what the question means, where we're going to go, and why we should pursue this. So for those of you that are in this room who are undecided or on the fence or whatever, or those of you watching in internet land that are also undecided, I want to remind you that whether or not your emotions are telling you to take one path or the other, this is bigger than our emotions. Much bigger. Your heart will deceive you. That was written in a book thousands of years ago, and it's true. So you need to use your mind. You need to think about these things. You need to start having discussions. If there's something that's holding you back from ticking a box that says yes, that Alberta will be able to self-determine, you need to start talking about, I shouldn't say you need to, you must start talking about those things with your fellow Albertans. Really dig into this, get to the bottom of it. Because I will tell you, every single objection that I've heard or seen for an independent Alberta is either emotionally based or based on misinformation. Every single opposition point, you know, the semantic stuff like, oh, we're landlocked, oh, what are we going to do for currency, what are we going to do for military? Every single one of those questions, I can flip that and be like, look at, thank you for answering that question. This is why you asking that question means that we have to become independent. Every single concern people have about an independent Alberta becomes a reason why we must be independent. That's why we're doing Let's Talk Alberta. That's why we're on a mission. We are focused to have these conversations with every Albertan we can. And then there's a little bit, it kind of falls on your shoulders too, because I can't remember how many seats are in here. There's a lot. We've only got maybe half of them full. That means that when you leave here, you need to have the answers to these questions, and you need to be able to talk Albertans. You need to be able to have these discussions with your friends, your neighbors, people who you don't agree with or don't agree with you. You are going to be the ones that win this. It's going to be the conversations you have in your day-to-day lives with your peers or whoever. So we need to talk about these things. And you need to have the answers, and you need to know what this really is. And you know what? Yes, we need to be able to answer when people say, what are we going to do for a military? That's an important question. But we have to bring it back to the opportunity that's presented to us right now. That's what's really important. An opportunity that we may never have again, that other people and other places have had to sacrifice hundreds of thousands or millions of lives to get. And we need to start treating this opportunity like the gift it is. This is a gift, and it's your gift. Don't squander it. Now, I'm going to give up the rest of my speaking time because I know I'm probably already over. Shane's coming over here with a taser. And we're going to take a 5-minute break. A 5-minute break. I always say this. Not a Leighton Gray 5 minutes. Sorry, Leighton. A real 5 minutes. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do a Q&A. So if you have objections or anything that you have that's preventing you from ticking that box, yes, we want to hear it. I want to talk to you about it. Please try and stump me. There's water at the back. Bathrooms are just out the hall around the corner. And be back in 5 minutes, please. Thank you very much.
Still one thing to add about the donations. Okay.
right, so people are starting to come for the Q&A session. I'm just changing the lanes here a little bit, so thanks for tuning in. I want to thank you all the guys from the who posted some super chats there. That was great, helpful, very thankful of you guys. So they're gonna do the Q&A session probably soon. Also up and running, the cameras are up there, the mics are up there, and yeah, so that's good. So just checking for next week, we're gonna be. So we'll be there on the 10th of April. I will be in Peace River, right? So that will be there. I will be there in Peace River. I will be seeing Corey Morgan from Western Standard, along with. I'm just gonna look at the poster here, see what I can got here. Just a second here. That's gonna be Peace River, Chris Scott, Corey Morgan, and Kathy Fletcher will be there. So I'll be live streaming that as well too. So I just want to see some of the comments here. I just want to see if you got some new people joining in. And I know that right now I have 207 people watching online on all the platforms as well, which is kind of cool. So, can you relay a question from a viewer? Yes. I just want to see what's the question, though, because I want to pin it out. Volume is poor. Well, I don't know. I'm a maximum volume, and I speak very loudly here, so I don't know. And my preamp is up to the maximum level, right? So let's see how it goes from there. I didn't see any trolls tonight. Yeah, they're kind of quiet. I don't know what happened. Maybe we're talking too much about freedom and stuff. I don't know. Let's see how it happens there. Not a one. Yeah. We're pretty well ahead of yourself, pretty much. Yeah. So on April the 10th, I will be in Peace River. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be in Peace River, and that will be good. That will be interesting. So no trolls because you shadow banned me. I don't know. I shadow ban everybody. If somebody's acting like a troll, I just don't hesitate to take them out and ban them. So I have a very I troll people very fast. So that's good. Thanks, remote. No trolls, of course. NASA means to deceive in Hebrew. I don't know what it means, but anyways. Yeah. So let's see what happens there. So Q&A is gonna start soon. Gonna switch the cameras right away, just for FYI. We are about to start the Q&A soon, so please grab your seat, and for the speakers, please come up front.
You have the wireless?
Yeah, I got the wireless one. Oh yeah.
So in between. Or if the person goes too long.
There's a. Oh, so you're gonna hold it. So you're gonna hold it.
Yeah, just. Yeah, just questions. If they start going off on the diatribe,
Let's see, I'm gonna ask you a question. There you go. You have to be very close to. Gotcha. Okay. I was telling him how to use a microphone. Kind of cool, right? How to use a microphone. 101, how to use a microphone. So. Oh, and by the way, if you are watching online, if you have a question, just put like exclamation mark, and we'll get back to you once the questions on site are completed.
Okay, folks, if everyone can take their seats, that would be fantastic. And if you don't mind, maybe it'd be better if we come up a little bit closer, if you can. I know it's kind of a tough thing sometimes to feel on the spot, but it makes it a little easier. And if we could get Laurence and Adam and Kathy up here, we'll get going with the Q&A. Yeah, he's 3 years in a row.
So cool.
Now you know.
Now you know, buddy. Buckle up, Buttercup.
So if you have questions, please line up in the middle, okay? Thanks.
And one more thing, if you have a question but you don't feel comfortable asking it right now, we're going to stick around afterwards. You're welcome to come up and talk to any of us individually, and we'll have that conversation one-on-one. But there is one more thing, very important thing that I have to talk about. I'm actually going to stand up for this. That's how important it is. So I don't know if you know this. Contrary to what some people in the media or some teleprompter readers say, nobody finances this. I'm not friends with Donald. He doesn't pay for any of this. Nobody pays for it. We pony up the money ourselves, and then we cross our fingers and hope that you folks help us out when you get here. This is all driven by grassroots support. And just to put it in perspective, an evening like this, like what we did here, this is between $3,000 and $4,000 to do this. I know it's a lot of money, but that's what it is. And we do it not knowing how it's going to go, not knowing if it's going to be 10 people or 1,000 people, and we just go on hopes and dreams. So please, there's some ladies that are going to pass around some buckets. It's kind of like church. Please, if you can help us if you can support us financially and help us to continue doing this, we really appreciate it. And on that note, I've come to the realization that we're going to have to find some sponsors. We need to do some things like book, 30 or how many, Shane? 40 venues over the next 6 months. We need to pay for some serious advertising in newspapers and things like that. So, he says 220. Yeah. So we need to find some patriotic Albertans that are willing to financially sponsor, and backstop these events. We need to start booking these venues. We need to get the advertising out, and we need to fill these halls. So if that's you, if it's something that you feel inclined to do, please come and talk to me after, and yeah, I would really appreciate it. All right. Okay, on to the questions.
Okay, I'm going to hold the mic, and you can ask your questions. You can line up. I used to sell Bonanza tickets for the Kinsmen, so if you don't want to come up here, I will come to you, but I'll still hold the mic. First question.
My question would be about the Canadian registered savings accounts, FHSAs, TFSAs. Is there any guarantee that those are going to be guaranteed for Albertans, like transferred from the Canadian Revenue Agency, or how would that work?
That's a great question. It's not my wheelhouse, but I want to ask you one other thing, or a question before I hand the microphone over to Adam. Do we have any guarantees right now with any paper certificates or fiat currency at all? Do we have guarantees? No. We do not. So this is important to remember. Right now, there's a lot of people who are very concerned about their investments, about their wealth holdings, things like that. And they're really paying attention to what's going on in the world, because it wouldn't be the first time that those paper certificates were no longer worth what they thought they were. So just please consider that while you get the other answers to the question.
Yeah, so just a little background here. So I work in the financial industry. That's my day job. So the truth is, like, we don't know exactly how that would go. It would be terribly foolish of the new government or the new people running Alberta to not make the transition simple. But what I'll say in the end, the truest answer I can give you is that question is going to be answered this summer. So there's a white paper being drafted by Keith Wilson and others where they are going to be addressing all the little logistical things, right? Because you're right to ask that question, right? Like there's some big issues like the border and passports and currency, things like that. There's some big ones, but then there's just a million little ones, right? And that would fall under the million little ones that is still important. You're going to have definity on that answer before you vote in October. But right now, all I'll say is it would be terribly foolish of us to not find a way to create a bridge for that. Does that make sense? Okay, thanks.
Next.
I don't know how to answer this or ask this question, but I've had a few people ask me a few times, like, if Alberta became independent, what kind of systems does it have that are set in place that all the stuff that we have right now can transition over into an independent state? Our pensions, our health care, our education, our government structure, our charter rights, or what constitution, whatever you want to call it, all those different systems that make a nation, how is that going to be transitioned over?
So Adam kind of touched on that a little bit. So there are people working on those things. There's a lot of things to think about. I do want to point out that the majority of things we already do within Alberta are self, like healthcare, education, those things. We already manage it. There are many things that would be nothing more than a change of letterhead, a change of jurisdiction, right? It's not like we're reinventing the wheel. If there's a federal system or program right now, we would just have to take that over, right? So it's not, it can get complicated, but it's not as big of a hurdle as some people may think. Quebec has been contemplating these things for 60 years. And Quebec has actually taken control of most of the things that the federal government did at one point or another. Now, interestingly enough, we had some delegates from Quebec come and visit members of the Alberta Prosperity Project last year, and they actually gave us a copy of the Quebec Secessionist Bible. Like, it is a document that thick of all of these things that Quebec has been contemplating that they would have to take over to be fully independent and sovereign, and we have that. So we do have the benefit of work that's already been done. We have some amazing work being done by Keith Wilson and others with the white paper that Adam referred to. So yeah, all super important things. Definitely not, this isn't a situation where it's just like a dude from a restaurant making hamburgers, going on a tour saying, hey, let's be independent. There's some serious mental horsepower behind this and some very, very bright minds working on those things.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, sorry, sir, I just want to answer that one before you get to the next one. How many systems in this country that are government run are run in a way that you would say is like efficient and, like there's lots of room for improvement. So like I just had Keith Wilson on my podcast, I think it was last week, yeah, something like that, yeah, last week. And he started talking about, well, wouldn't it be fun to kind of go and like tear some of these systems down to the studs and rebuild them back with some thought and maybe less red tape, right? So this is one of the things that makes me so excited is the rebuild, right? And that's why, like I said it, Chris said it, this isn't going to be easy, you guys. Like anybody who says this is going to be easy, it's like, no, it's not going to be easy. Moving sucks. Like I don't care if you're talking about moving an apartment or moving your office or changing jobs or switching banks. Like moving's always a big pain in the butt, right? But if you do it properly with some thought, you can get to the other side and go, yeah, okay, maybe it was painful for a minute, but look where we are. And so on the things that you're talking about there, yeah, I'm looking at the transition as painful. Not super painful, but in some areas it might be a little bit. But the horizon on the other side, or the light at the end of the tunnel, gets me pretty excited for sure.
I'll finish with this little question. My neighbor, when I was talking to her about independence, she says, who's going to protect us if we separate?
I didn't even know where to start.
Well, I mean, the Canadian military isn't exactly chasing anybody away right now, so... don't get me wrong, like I don't, I've got all the respect in the world for the men and women in our military, but let's face it, like as a country, like Underfunded. That's a great underfunded and underappreciated. Let's call it that, right? Yeah, definitely underappreciated.
If you want my idea, this is my opinion on who's going to protect us. A sovereign nation should have a defense force made up by people from the nation, of course. Day one, we're not going to have that. What we do have is allies and friends that we trade with to the south who have a very impressive military, with a president who is a businessman and would love nothing more than for us to contract that military to provide our defense. The United States provides supplementary defense for, I think, like 30 other nations or something like that. You can look it up. But they provide primary defense for 3 nations on the planet. So it's not new, it's not unheard of, it's easy, and it gets us through the period of having nothing to a full Alberta defense force.
Don't forget, when it comes to defense, we are landlocked. You'll have to walk over somebody else to get here. So, my son texted me, and he's in touch with the United Conservative Caucus, who asked him if he was aware government is building 160 plus schools, funding 476 complexity teams, adding 3,000 teachers and 1,500 EAs. My son responded with a question that they didn't answer, and I'll ask it to you. How do I vote for Alberta independence / Alberta becoming the 51st U.S. state if I was born in Alberta but now live in the USA?
You don't. You have to be a resident of Alberta.
So he has to come back here?
Yeah, you have to be a resident.
Yeah, he's only there on a work permit.
Well, I believe we'll have to dig into this, but it's where you normally reside. I believe that's what the language is. Yeah.
Okay. So he won't be able to. That'll be the answer to that.
I don't think so, but I think closer to referendum, there's going to be. I would imagine that the provincial government will have a list of criteria on eligible voters, and that would be available on Elections Alberta. I'm assuming, so that would be where I would find that information.
So fun fact, the Canadian military likes to run about 67,000 members all in, but the Metropolitan Toronto Police Force runs about 248,000. Beware of the Metropolitan Toronto Police Force.
Next question.
I'm curious about our Canada pension. What is Alberta going to do? Do we still keep it?
It's your pension, right? You put into it, and now receiving out of it.
Yes.
And so if you were to move, if you were saying, okay, I'm done, I'm out of here, I am going to somewhere warmer and I'm going to move there, would you still be able to collect your pension? Yes. So this will be the same, right? There's tax treaties among countries, and so yes, you would still be able to collect it.
Great.
It's yours. Where people get hung up on is, should we have our own pension, right? An Alberta pension. And the very short answer to that is yeah, because we Albertans, check this out if you don't know these numbers, we contribute 9 billion every year to CPP. Our seniors get back 6 billion. There's 3 billion missing. There's 3 billion missing that's going somewhere else. So when we bring that in-house, we're going to be very well looked after. But as for those who are getting their CPP right now, yes, you will still continue to get it. We will make sure of it.
So that's not going to change when you come independent, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
It might. Yeah, it might.
I'm close to that time, and most of my time, as the guy with the mic, I'll ask the question. Most of my life working for real money has been here in Fort McMurray. So for 25 years, I've contributed the max because of where I work. Now, the CPP, when I looked at sites, said if I retired at 65, I get 1,300 or something like that. But I rather have the Alberta advantage. If all my life I contributed to the CPP and we do separate, we become an independent, and Alberta has its own pension, where I paid into it from Alberta's resources, would I be able to qualify for the Alberta pension?
So this is a really good question, and you can really dig into this in the LifeWorks report that was released last year. The government actually commissioned this report to be done to talk about just these things. So think about the Canada Pension Plan as a thing. Okay, there's assets there and liabilities. What you've paid in is an asset that should be for you to be able to withdraw. And you know, the contributions are assets, or pardon me, what's owed to you is a liability, and the contributions are an asset. So the LifeWorks report kind of describes it as Alberta would have to take that over, but buy the assets and take on the liabilities. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? So the number in the LifeWorks report, what would come to Alberta, it's supposed to be about $350 billion. It's a very large number. That's what Albertans have contributed, and according to the math that Ontario wanted in there, that's what we're due. So they should be giving us that money, and then Alberta would take over the duty, the fiduciary duty, of paying the entitlements to the people that own it, right? So it's something that can be bought and sold just like a pension fund or something like that. It can move jurisdiction in that way, but I also want to add there's other things, not just CPP. Our seniors receive old age security, right? Yeah. Things like that. That's a federal entitlement. It's not something that you own. It's an entitlement given to you by the federal government. And this is where the opportunity thing comes in. I say, when Alberta becomes independent, we don't leave anybody behind. If a senior today is receiving X amount of dollars from the federal government, we make sure that that senior gets that amount of money going forward so no one's left behind. That for me is full stop. You cannot argue that point, and I'll fight for that. So it's not like Alberta becomes independent, all of a sudden no one gets CPP, no one gets OS. No. Alberta picks up the tab until we decide how we're going to deal with it going forward, whether we're going to replace that program with something else. Maybe people don't need it anymore because we're not taxing them at 50%, you know? So the key takeaway there is nobody gets left behind. What you get now, you would get then, because this isn't about taking stuff from Albertans. It's about an opportunity for Albertans to keep more of what you produce.
You're talking about a difference in values between Alberta and Canada, which is 100%. So how do we, when we leave Canada, so Alberta leaves Canada, how do we not take Canada with us? And how do we keep Canada out of us?
Oh man, I love this question. Yeah.
I want to know that.
So good. Thank you. Okay, so everybody's salivating to answer this one, but I'm going first because I'm holding the mic. So you know what the best job is going to be after this referendum? The best job in Alberta for about 6 months? It's going to be the job of a realtor. Because, there you go, there's a realtor there. So, because here's what's going to happen. Liberals are going to leave like crazy, and conservatives are going to move in like crazy. And it's one of my favorite things, like you know, the internet trolls, you know, they come at you and they're like, you know, like, well, all the liberal, you know, doctors and teachers, and they're all going to leave, and you know, then what are you going to do? And my answer is the same every time. I go, oh no, what are we going to do without the liberals? We're going to be okay, right? I assure you, like, you know, Laurence did a really great thing during the teacher strike. And, you know, just talking about and exposing it. And, you know, I got really involved with it as well. Just sort of like trying to, you know, help the teachers understand why people are so mad and maybe help bridge the gap a little bit on the other side. The truth is, there are hidden conservatives all over this country in every job. And teachers being the biggest one, right? I talked to conservative teachers in Ontario who would love a place where they could actually be a conservative, right? And I'm not saying they should come and like we get mad at liberal teachers for inputting their values. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, like, it would be cool if they could, like, kind of be themselves, right? And so in every job in this country, they're all the same. There are conservatives, there's liberals, and there's people who don't care. There will be a change in the demographic of where they move. I'm confident on it. I'm banking on it. I'm hoping for it. I pray for it every night. So, yeah, that's the answer.
And the other, actually, I love that. But my question is, how do we keep the government the Canadian government out of our government. Like in the sense of, right now, just as we have no vote because GTA and Quebec decided what they want to do with that, how do we keep Fort McMurray still having a vote when Edmonton and Calgary want something different than what we want?
I love that
Because the
question.
city, the urban and the residential areas are two complete bases of
Yeah.
thought process.
Yeah, this is where it gets fun, and we get to remind ourselves that we're going to have a blank canvas to build, right? Like the opportunities are amazing, and we live in this world where our whole entire lives we've been told by the government what life is going to be like. And now we're like, nah, I think we're going to say what life is going to be like. So we are going to have an opportunity to vote at a constitutional convention. At that constitutional convention will be an outline of the structure of government. Now, the last thing we want is the Westminster system, because that's what we're under right now. We know it doesn't work, so we don't want that. Most of us that are in this movement are looking at a republic. That's what we would like to have. Some of us are strongly suggesting that within that republic, we have regions. So in my little perfect world, we would have, you know, northwestern Alberta, northeastern, central, south, and then Edmonton and Calgary, so that the cities cannot overrule urban, urban cannot overrule cities, but whatever's going on in northeastern Alberta, you guys are completely autonomous to make your own decisions on what's going to work for you, because up here is different than in the south, but the south is also going to be completely autonomous, and then we all come together. Now that's what I think should happen, but we will all get to decide during that constitutional convention to do exactly what you just described, and that is to make sure that one can't overrule the other.
Let me expand on that real quickly to some other points. How do you make sure government doesn't do what they did now? How do we make sure that politicians aren't corrupt? That's our Constitution. We put things in our Constitution, learning from the mistakes of the past, learning from what was successful in the past, and we implement them in the new nation of Alberta's Constitution. One thing I would like to see is I would like to see yearly or bi-yearly or something public audits, like a Doge type thing enshrined in the Constitution, so governments can't do this malarkey where they, you know, send millions, billions of dollars to other countries to fight wars we have nothing to do with. I want it so that that's transparent. And if we put that in the Constitution, that's how it will be. The reason for that, and this comes back to the very core of my desire to have an independent nation of Alberta. The Constitution that we're governed under right now was not written by people like you. It was not debated by the people that were going to be subject to its laws and policy. It was drafted and written in England with elites from Canada for the purpose of maintaining colonial control over the Dominion, for the purpose of keeping you peaceful, orderly, and under good government, apparently. So it was not by the people. Do you understand what I'm saying? The opportunity here is that for the first time in Canadian history, somebody writes it, the people tell the government or those who wish to be government how they may govern them. That's the major change here. We go from a constitution and a system of governance imposed on us with enforcement included that imposes on us, RCMP and the Crown, right, to the people, and the people having a protection from government, which you do not have right now.
Oh, you want to?
Oh yeah. I haven't even spoke yet.
He's starting to twitch.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is we're under the British parliamentary system, and every single one of us are loyal British subjects, whether you like it or not. We have a king, and that king grants us privileges, and that's what you grew up with, that's what your grandparents grew up with, that's what their grandparents grew up with. We have a shot to have rights. And I don't know if any of you have ever talked to an American, right? And you tell them what Canada does and how we don't have the right to bear arms or any of that. We have privileges granted to us by the Crown. And those privileges can be taken away at any time. And you saw that during the Freedom Convoy with the Emergencies Act. And now the Emergencies Act been deemed unconstitutional. They lost the appeal. Now we're going to Supreme Court, right? And they're just going to play that out. You don't have rights right now. Alberta, the new Alberta, will give you rights. And we're all going to get a voice. We're all going to get to negotiate that. And that's really what I'm going to advocate for, is every single Albertan having a voice in a constitution and how we want to see it. And we're not all going to get along, and that's okay, but our voices are going to be heard. And I just want, I like to reiterate that fact that we don't have rights. We have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It should be called a Charter of Privileges. That's what it is. They can take things away from us whenever they want. As for the teachers, I would like to say that, I was a big advocate during the teachers' strike, and there are a ton of conservative teachers out there, and they will not push their values and beliefs on their students because guess what? They already don't. They go to work and they just want to be academics. They want to teach the kids. And, that's the difference between a left-wing teacher and a conservative teacher. The conservative teacher doesn't tell you who they vote for. They don't tell you who they're sleeping with. They don't say who they're attracted to. I talk to them every single day. And because they don't have a voice. They don't get to go to work and say anything. They don't get to challenge anything. So teachers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, I talk to all of them, right, in those professions. And they're going to flood into the province as they're conservative, and the ones that don't want to be here anymore, well, goodbye. That's simple.
So one little point there, when you said real estate's going to go up and people want things, we got to be careful because California is large exodus has hit Florida, and a couple of key states down there have flopped because they brought their ideology with them. So we have to have some kind of vetting process.
So before you answer that question, I want to show you guys these questions that have been asked about, like, well, could Alberta be this and could it be this? And you hear it, and it sounds almost like a utopia, even though everything is very logical and common sense. This is why, you guys, we are going to see more input and interference from the rest of the world than anybody in this room can imagine. And here's why. Because right now, they have the rest of the world convinced that government corruption is just the norm, right? Because every country on earth has it, right? Overspending is the norm, inflation is the norm, and they've got the world convinced that, well, this is how it goes. Because I don't know about you, but I've certainly had the conversation with my girlfriend and my family and my kids and everything to go, well, where are we going to go if it gets worse, right? Because we have this idea that, well, I'd like to live somewhere like this. Well, guess what? It doesn't exist. If it did, we wouldn't be having a referendum. We probably would have just left already, right? So the reason there's going to be so much outside interference is the rest of the world they've convinced everybody that, no, this would never work. We get to prove that it can. We get to be the answer to that question of, well, where will we go if it gets worse? It becomes us. We become the answer to that question. And then the next step, the next domino, is then other countries are going to go, well, why don't we do it that way? We tip over the apple cart. We prove them wrong when they say it can't work. And that's why all the people that are controlling, the world elite that are controlling, basically keeping that system intact, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure we don't get this. And that's why this referendum is so cool, because we each get a vote. We each get a vote, and every vote counts. There's no constituencies in this, as I was saying, right? That's what makes this so unique. We get the chance to change the world, you guys. We do. And that's why I said earlier, the way we got to do this, we can change the world here in Alberta. And the way we do it is by communicating and educating and getting us ready to do it. Could you imagine anything cooler than that? Imagine something cooler than that, and that's what we get to do. It's awesome.
I can imagine something cooler than that.
You can?
I can. Alberta's going to do this. We're trailblazers. We always have been. We're going to lead the way. And then Saskatchewan's going to follow.
They are going to follow.
And then we might even see the territories start to think about this a little bit. And then we might see other provinces start to think about this a little bit. And then we're going to see the Laurentian elites absolutely scrambling in their pants because they're going to lose complete and utter control. And isn't that going to be beautiful, right? And then we're all going to celebrate because Albertans not only blaze that trail to save ourselves, we have the ability to help the rest of the country save itself as well. Yep. We have to remember this is a political fight, It's not us fighting one another. It's us fighting the political system. And that's exciting to me, to think that we could do that. But the other thing to remember in the process, and speaking about immigration and emigration and people coming in and people coming out, the ones that I fight with online the most are those who say, oh, well, as soon as Alberta's independent, I'm moving. I'm like, no, you're not. You can apply for a visa, and we'll check your paperwork and see if we're cool with you, but you don't just get grandfathered in because you were a Canadian. That's not how that's going to go. That's not how that's going to go. So it'll be interesting times.
Next question.
Okay, I know you said on a clean slate we're going to start. What about all the Bill C's, the C's, 2s, 4s, 8? Are we done with that? It won't apply to any of us right now. Like this Bill C9, 63, even the 69, it's like retarded.
In the most basic sense, Alberta wishing to become independent is a complete and utter rejection of the current system of governance, the Constitution, and the laws of Canada. Period. Period.
Next question. I like that answer.
I heard the C word, so tell me, what's corruption?
What's corruption?
For you. Corruption is unreported crime.
Yeah, well, it's not just
in
unreported.
In the 192 countries on this planet, Canada is in the top 10 of corrupt countries.
It's not just unreported.
The word's out.
Some of it's in the newspaper.
Corruption is unreported crime. Crime that does not get the light of day.
Some of it's in the newspaper. It's literally in the there's a newspaper back there talking about a company that you're all familiar with, Brookfield, that's benefiting tremendously from our current government. Like, the thing that amazes me the most, I even stutter thinking about it, is that people are witnessing the biggest scandals and corruption in Canadian history, and they're just like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
Honestly, I didn't see it coming because he's from Fort Smith. I thought he was a cool guy.
But that's wild though, right? So like 5.5 years on the internet calling out corruption, like you want to talk about corruption, right? And what's wild to me though is in Canada, it is so normal that nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody gives a shit. And I get angry. Like there's video, well, if you watch me, you know I get angry. But the thing is, like, look at the Freedom Convoy and everything that happened there. Frozen bank accounts. And Justin Trudeau gets to go and walk around this planet with an astronaut and just whatever. Like, seriously, people's lives were ripped away from them. So, you know, again, undecided in the room. Like, that happened, right? We don't have to tell you or convince you that that did not happen. Shit like that won't happen in a new Alberta. You'll have a voice because we'll have real rights here. And I'll go back and revert back. We don't have rights. If you think you have rights right now, go back to the Freedom Convoy where they literally destroyed people's lives and they're laughing about it. So at the end of the day, from a guy who literally has exposed corruption, Chris showed me the article when I first came in here. Brookfield, it has their hands in everything. Mark Carney put it into a blind trust. Well, when you're a billionaire or a millionaire and all you do is invest, there's no such thing as a blind trust. Just because you put it in a blind trust, you still know what you own, right? So you're going to do everything in your power to increase your wealth, just like Trudeau did, just like every other corrupt politician does, and we don't get a say. Because when we say something, they close your restaurant, they put you in prison, they make you the bad guy. Well, they date astronauts.
And the way to make sure to keep all of that out, once we are the Republic of Alberta, is make sure you stay engaged with what's going on and vote. Our voting record in Alberta is abysmal. Now, I can understand that with the federal side of things, as I explained. I mean, I spoil my ballot. The last 5 federal elections, I literally spoil my ballot. I will take the time to go vote because that is my democratic right, but I spoil my ballot because I know it's meaningless. However, provincially and municipally, we do have votes that count, and yet we still don't show up. We just, someone else will do it. Someone else will make the choice. There's laws. They won't break the laws. And then the corruption comes in. So the way to make sure to maintain everything that we're going to fight to have is show up at that ballot box.
I think I just figured out why people don't show up. The United States, their turnout for voter turnout and their political engagement is through the roof. You know what the difference is between the United States and us? We were told how we were going to be governed. Yeah. They got to fight for it. I really believe that an independent Alberta, after we fight for this and we make sacrifices for this and we win, I really believe people are going to be proud of that and they will want to go and participate, because for the first time in our lives, it will actually mean something. And so we're going to see, I believe that we will see a political revival in which Albertans get their hands back on the wheel and they start choosing their own destiny.
So what are we going to do for police on the day one type of thing? Are we going to just keep paying the RCMP to work here? Or?
Well, we already have the Alberta sheriffs. They're taking over pretty much everything already, so it's just a badge on a uniform and a letterhead change, really.
That would be one of those things that'll be covered in the white paper, but I can tell you, are there any police officers in the room?
They can't admit it if they are.
Oh, is that true? Okay, sorry. The police officers that I know are just longing for a day when they can actually arrest people and then they actually stay in jail for a minute, right? Or longer than, this get them out on bail, catch and release program. Like, I don't know how cops do it. Like, good cops who are doing this to make the world a better place and they're trying to keep the streets safe, do all those things, and it just doesn't matter because they arrest the same guy the next day for doing the same thing. Like, they've had it. And so, what you're talking about there, that's part of the white paper. But on the topic of police, like, I'm really looking forward to a country where the police can actually do their job. That would be a nice change.
So question again, if we go and we know it's going to be a 5-6 year, I know some countries have done it a lot less in negotiations and building all that. Will the municipalities, the way they do their elections and the way they control, will all that follow the same suit as what the government of Alberta will be like?
It'll be outlined in the Constitution. We'll decide on that. It'll be one of the things that we decide together.
But also, sorry, did you say like 5 or 6 years, like in the transition and negotiation?
Yeah, kind of think like, okay, so October we have a referendum.
Oh no, 6 months.
Oh yeah, like Keith thinks it'll be 3 months. Like
So if you do it less than 3, you'll be the quickest country that's ever separated from its own country.
But again, like, there's actually not that much to negotiate. Right, like there's really not that much, and again, like Keith outlines it beautifully. Like, what does the federal government provide for Alberta? Do you guys know what they are? There's like 5 or 6 things. Like, it's passports, it's the border, it's military, what are the other? Currency, and yeah, I'm forgetting one. What's that? Elbows up, yeah. Like they really don't do that much for us. And then in terms of the negotiation, it's just like any other divorce, right? You've got assets, you've got liabilities, you figure it out.
But just like any other divorce, sometimes they drag on for years and years because one partner is unnegotiable.
They do, but so what the referendum triggers, and Chris will expand on this, but what the referendum triggers, if we have a successful referendum, what it triggers is a negotiation with the rest of Canada, and that negotiation has to be done in good faith. Good faith doesn't mean I'm just going to, put my fingers in my ears and not talk to you. They have to do it. And they have to negotiate in good faith. They have to.
So hold on. Here's the part that people don't seem to understand. We're not asking. So this negotiation thing with Canada, this is a preference. This is a preference as outlined by the Supreme Court as the way Canada would like to see this go. Remember what I said before? This is a complete and utter rejection of the current systems, the Constitution and laws of Canada, and Alberta wants to do it on her own. Therefore, in these negotiations, under no circumstances will I be, or anybody, I probably won't be there, but will be anybody worried about what Canada wants. There's two things that you need for a sovereign nation. The will of the people, as outlined in a referendum with a clear question and a clear answer, and international recognition. Everything else around that is all but irrelevant. If Alberta says we're leaving, we are not asking. So yes, of course, we're going to negotiate some things, but at the end of the day, it's not up to Canada to tell us what we can do. It's up to us to tell Canada what we are going to do and then do it.
On this topic, and again, like guys, I'm not trying to plug my own stuff here. Go listen to the podcast I just recorded with Keith Wilson. So it's Army of Great Men. Go listen to it. Did anybody listen to that recent episode? There's a bunch of people, right? Yeah. Okay. He outlines the exact process brilliantly, and when you see it, like the way he explains, like holy cow, yeah, this actually isn't as complicated as we're making it out to be. Like it's not going to take 5 years, I promise. Podcast called The Army of Great Men. It's the most recent episode. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. And sorry, I'm not trying to be self-plugging. It's the first easiest place I know that you can find the answer. It's right there.
If you want to remember what his podcast is, at the back there's a table with some merch on it, and it's got the name written on it. So just buy a hat, buy a T-shirt, and then you'll never forget.
Are the signatures being collected right now, is that a prerequisite to vote? Do you have to sign now in order to vote in October?
Absolutely not.
Yes or no?
No. So there's so many confusing things around these signatures. One of the things that was confusing is, remember last fall when there was the online one where he was, right? There are a lot of people that thought that if they signed online that counted, and it doesn't. You have to sign in person. But no, if that was the case, then we win in a landslide because there'd only be 177 or however many people, and most of those are voting for independence. So no, there's going to be it's about 3 million eligible voters, I think, in Alberta ish. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So one question, because what you guys just told me, I'll speak a little bit too much sometimes. So on October with the referendum, as they say, technically we have the 177 plus signatures or boxes of signatures that will make it to the referendum. All we need is 50% plus one, or do we need a bigger threshold?
That's an interpretation thing. 50% plus one would be difficult. That's a very difficult number to deal with. There would be challenges and recounts and all sorts of things. We're not looking for 50% plus one. We're looking for like 60 plus, right? This is really important. Now, you mentioned the signatures go to the referendum. What's occurring right now with the citizen initiative petition is not the referendum. That petition is to compel the provincial government to put a referendum on the question of Alberta independence to the people. The referendum in itself is completely different thing, and it's something that every single Albertan needs to show up and tick a box, yes or no. Every single one. This isn't there's a hockey game on. As a matter of fact, I hope the provincial government passes some sort of a mandatory, like no sports on this day or something like that. No hockey games. No, I don't feel like it. No, there's a special at McDonald's. Like, you get your butt down there and you choose. Because this gift is not something to be squandered. This opportunity is not something to be taken lightly. This referendum is that is the number one priority for Albertans on October 19th.
So there's 6 other questions I think Daniel Smith is putting on that.
I don't care.
Yeah, okay, without a doubt. So on that date, when they do that count, hopefully it's not a mail-in ballot and we wait 3 months. If we hit 60%, which is not a hard stretch if people get the information, and you get your white paper out, because I still have questions on that, we start then? Like the next day is, okay, we're done with Canada?
Start next day.
The next day that Canada, we're done with you, and that's the referendum? Yep. We don't have to go through a bunch of lower courts to people challenging it?
There's only 2 things required for an independent Alberta. The will of the people and international recognition. A 60% yes vote gives us will of the people, very clear. We already have international recognition, all but guaranteed. And actually, on that note, do you know what country has commonly been first or one of the first to recognize the democratic will of a people that want to be independent? Canada.
So this isn't a question. They taught us in school that Canada became a country in 1867. They didn't tell us that Italy and Germany were in the power and the control of the Prussians, who were the Syrians, in 1867. And the Germans revolted, and the Prussians in Italy moved to Germany to put them down, and the Italians formed government in 1871, and the Germans formed in 1873. And when they did, and were recognized before the world, it meant that the world would defend them. And that's the same for us.
Interesting. Does anybody else have questions or even a objection? Oh, Max has one from online.
The people on the online is always there. Question number 1 from the online audience is, what is the reason for Suffield getting more Canadian forces?
Oh, well, can't imagine why they're doing that. You not know? You were in the U.S. You didn't hear this news?
No.
Yeah, so it was just in the news a little while ago that apparently they're going to transfer a whole bunch of soldiers to Suffield right away here in Alberta.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, the timing is really quite alarming, isn't it? As to why they might be doing that right now. I think you could probably connect the dots.
The Air Force Base being within 20 minutes of a big oil sands mine?
Something like that? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So we'll see what happens and what comes of it.
Just a comment when you're asking what the federal government might do for us in Alberta. We do have 7 federal jails. They're kind of big. So that's one thing. I mean, they do provide that service for us.
Do you guys know that a lot of the federal prisons actually have more guards than inmates in them now?
Yep. So when
it's not
you're
a big
asking
deal.
What could they provide for us?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure we can.
We can figure it out, right? I know.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. It's probably some politicians we could put in.
And like on all the things, like when you look at what the federal government provides for us, so, and I don't know if anybody said it tonight, but like we all know, like it's not just about equalization payments, but like we all understand that there's like we send more money to Ottawa every year than we get back, right? And that number is generally somewhere between 30 and as high as $45 billion a year, right? And so yeah, like some of these things are going to cost some money, but we're going to have a little extra, so like we can figure it out.
But Adam, if we go independent, the federal government's no longer going to send us health transfers. Our hospitals will all close. What will we do?
Stop getting sick, I guess.
2 weeks. We only need 2 weeks and everybody be healthy.
That's right.
Stop the curve. 2 weeks.
This question is it's more about how to wake up people that are wanting to change but can't change, like they're disgruntled with all the stuff that's happening in Canada, not happy with it, but they still want to be left alone. They make excuses to be busy. I think they're there, but they're not able to make themselves move over and don't to talk to you about it. They don't want to engage, but they're not happy. How do we, is there a promotional or an engagement tool that we can easily snap them out of these things? Or
Yeah.
something?
You know what your engagement tool is? Do you have any mirrors in your home?
Yeah, lots of mirrors.
Look in it. That's the answer. You're the answer. The answer is you need to start having conversations that are making people uncomfortable. You need to start telling people, your friends and family, look, I don't care how you vote in this, but you gotta know what you're voting for, right? This is a vote that will forever change the direction of this province or country if we become one way or another. It's the most important vote of your life. You can invest 90 minutes of it to educate yourself. You can do that. For you, your kids, your grandkids, for all the generations to follow. You can do that. And so I keep saying, like, we got to get brave. We got to get uncomfortable. This referendum is going to be won by people like you having conversations with your friends and family and saying, no, you don't get to put your head in the sand on this one. You're going to learn. And step up as a leader and do that. That's what we all have to do.
You know, I have this image in my head of the person that you try to talk to about Alberta independence. Their face turns red, the vein starts throbbing, they start foaming at the mouth, their elbows go up, and they start hating the color orange, right? You know what I'm talking about? Emotionally driven people who just cannot talk about it. There's no point in trying to convince that person. There really isn't. You can plant seeds, but I would highly recommend, you know, even though we have to approach these things and have the uncomfortable conversations, know where to draw the line and maintain the relationship, and just plant seeds. Just plant seeds every once in a while, because there's a big difference between having a conversation with you where they have to admit, oh, you know, maybe I'm wrong about this thing, knowing that they have all these concerns about the way things are and they want to change. It's a completely different thing when they're standing there alone in private with a ballot in front of them and a pen in their hand. So you plant those seeds, and that's the best you can do, but maintain the relationship.
So
yeah,
one question that was
just one
asked
second
here.
here.
Oh, sorry.
1 second. Yeah, all good. I've done this before, right? I've spent way too much time talking to people who you're never going to get through to them. And, you know, I'm working on that right now. It is hard sometimes because you just look at the state of Canada and you're just like, how could you think that way? But there's a lot of undecided people out there. And, you know, Chris is right. When somebody's in the ballot box on their own, there's a lot of people that, you know, they have their privacy. They respect their privacy. They don't want, you know, you to know what they're for or what they're against. Those people are out there. And all you can do is be compassionate and just give them the information. And, you know, give them resources or tools and go from there. But I'm learning right now, and I'm going through that transition right now, is I have to learn to step away from the ignorant. And there's a lot of ignorant people out there that have no clue. Well, they just want to argue, right? They just want to argue because they're hurt. At the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of people out there that just want the information. They don't want any argument or any emotion. They just want to know what they should do and allow them, just have faith in knowing that you did the best you could. But getting uncomfortable is probably the most important thing here. It sucks. Trust me, it's terrible. But at the end of the day, is it worth it? And that's what I tell myself every day. It will be worth it.
And so for me, it's worth waiting for Laurence's next reply on some of those things that people say. It's absolute gold.
So one thing too, person here in the audience asked, they need the information to be able to give to that person that's on the fence or a naysayer. Where can they get the information?
www.albertaprosperityproject.com. Tons of information, tons of things you can actually print off, trifolds, like a huge amount of information.
There's there's lots of podcasts, there's lots of interviews, there's town halls. The white paper is going to be something you can read. You'll be able to search, there's lots and lots of tools. My girlfriend and I are building a website right this minute to address exactly what you're talking about. There's going to be so many resources out there, so many. You got to understand the process that we've been through, right? All the resources to date, and I'm talking like all the effort so far has been just to get to this 177,000 signatures. Those are the first 2 innings. Now we're getting to the meat of the game here. Now we're going to start to actually be able to deliver some, far more comprehensive answers and all those things. This is not going to be a lack of information. You're going to see loads and loads and loads of resources and information you can use.
Got a question here. First of all, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. So I got a question that nobody's really addressed so far as I know yet. So we've talked about after this happens, when it happens, there's going to be fierce opposition. Ottawa's not going to want it. Other countries aren't going to want it. And we're relying fully on the U.S. military, which is great in the short term. But that essentially lowers our leverage to becoming the 51st state. If we want true independence, like the War of 1812, Canada had a military, and it was mostly citizen-led militia. Do we still have rights to have a citizen-led militia, and why aren't we training one now so we have defense when we need it, when we become independent?
That is an excellent question. Why aren't we training a militia right now to defend when we need it? It's illegal. It is illegal For
When did it become illegal? I'm just
it's
curious.
always been illegal in Canada.
Really?
It's always been illegal. Put it this way: if you have a fly swatter and you hang it on your door or beside your front door, and you have a thing over there that says, in case of whatever RCMP coming to get you, this is what you use. That's a weapon to be used against RCMP. That is illegal.
So in 1812, they didn't have those laws yet.
1812, they didn't. We confederated
So
in
it was just a bunch of
1867.
guys that said, hey, let's go defend our country.
Yes. What happened in 1867? Did we sit down and write a constitution that ensured we could defend our rights? Or did another group impose a constitution on us to ensure that we were subjugated and controlled?
So
that's the reason.
So we know the Canadian military is not going to help us.
The Canadian military is not our military.
RCMP is not going to help us.
They are not our RCMP. They are the Crown's and the executive branch of government.
So what can we do to prepare so that when we become a country, we can form our own military and build a militia and have our own defense systems? Because
I mean, if you
everyone's
wanna-
going to want Fort McMurray oil. Everyone's going to want a piece of the action.
Yeah,
right?
okay, so first of all, the idea that Canada is going to use military or other strength to try and get what Alberta has, I don't believe that's a likely scenario. However,
purely as not for any show of force or anything, but just to literally protect what we have.
Well,
Because
protect from
every,
who?
Every sovereign nation needs protection in some
Yeah,
form, whether
so-
we like it or not. It's not a
okay,
a
I
flex saying you have to-
understand.
you
I
have to
understand what you're
cause
saying.
war,
I'll clear this up. So my opinion was that we contract the U.S. military immediately, for sure. But also, we should be building a Alberta reserve. Now, I would all but guarantee that there are tons of service people from Alberta right now who are very, very disillusioned with the state of their current military, of the institution. I think that they would be happy to be part of a defense service that actually believed in the honor and tradition of military focus on protecting the people. So there are those people. Now, is it going to happen immediately? No. If you want to do something right now to train, the only way right now to train to be part of a military is to join the reserves or something like that. That's it.
like I wanted to join the military. I was a teacher.
So did I.
I was a teacher for 10 years, and in 2021, I resigned from my job because I didn't want to get a vaccine, and I, just was totally against the system.
Well, good for you for standing up for yourself.
Thank you. I wanted to join the military, but I couldn't because they weren't accepting people that weren't jabbed. I joined the local Legion, and I was a part of the Scottish Pipe Band, and I got kicked out of that as well. So, no, I mean, like, you look at a country like Switzerland. Why are they so able to stay independent and wealthy and protected? They have mandatory military service. They have great defense. It's not because they're aggressive. It's not because they're neutral. But nobody messes with them because they have, look at South Korea. 2 years mandatory military service when you turn 18. So
It sounds like you want to serve.
honestly, well, I want to serve my country. Like I think a lot of us who are patriots want to do something. Like I got my baby girl.
You can. You can
over
do it
there,
right. You can
and
do it right
I
now.
want her to have a future.
Yes, you can do it right now.
I can't join the Canadian military.
No, the
I
way you
can't.
serve right now, the way you serve the people of Alberta is you work on making this referendum successful. That is the biggest service that you can do to the people of Alberta and the pursuit of freedom and prosperity right now.
I am a canvasser, and I've been.
That's awesome.
There's amazing people here in this room that have been protesting and showing up at all the rallies and trying to reach out to guys like you, and we're grateful for everyone that's been a part of this movement because it's been really from the grassroots. So,
Well, thank you.
So now the tough question. What are we going to do for a living?
For a which?
Well, in 2012, the oil companies said that they're not going to pursue this ore body into Saskatchewan. They're going to go to Newfoundland next and come back here in 150 years. Are they going to stay here when we become a country or a republic or a state, or are they going to leave?
Now, who is they?
The oil companies who currently support this province. Yeah, they said they're going next to
my
Newfoundland.
easy answer to that is somebody's coming here. Like, if they want to leave and go to the East Coast, go. Somebody will come here. Alberta will do it. We will sell our energy. And the United States is going to continue to buy our energy, whether whoever is drilling up there, whoever's pulling it out of the sand up there, somebody's
So we
buying
don't know
it.
the answer to this, do we?
I would literally say that somebody is going to. It's oil. It is oil. In the United States, we trade the most with the United States. They're not going to just leave that and go to the east and come back in 150
They said
years.
in 2012 they're going to Newfoundland next to coming back here in 150 years.
Well,
let them. Somebody else is coming. I will start a Berta Proud Dad oil company.
Well,
let them.
You know, what about their 99-year leases? Like Suncor owns over 50% of the oil leases in this province. What are you going to do about them?
Well, we're getting into a lot of semantics. I mean, I
just
don't
wanna
know.
know where I'm getting a paycheck from.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you that if Alberta's managing their wealth and affairs and making laws to benefit us instead of benefiting the East, the oil's coming out of the ground, right? The world doesn't stop consuming energy just because a flag changes on a piece of dirt in the middle of North America. It doesn't.
You will never find anybody on this side of the independence movement who is going to say we want less oil. It's only more.
There's a guy in the United States that just took control of the oil of 2 other countries.
Best thing you can do, young feller, is just shut that TV right off on the wall and look around what's happening. It's building, it's getting bigger.
The question is, because Alberta's been left high and dry before, who's going to stay and who's going to go? Who's going to work at Canadian Tire? They got a funny name.
I don't have a crystal ball, and I can't answer those questions. But I can tell you that the highest GDP, the freest and most prosperous place on the planet would attract the best workers. That's the best I can answer that.
I'm with you, but I think the average voter is going to want some answers to these kind of questions.
Well, these aren't. I'm not sure what exactly you expect. I'm telling you what the opportunity is. The opportunity is that we can create something that we
I'm
manage.
all in on the opportunity. I've been into it for a long, long time.
But okay, so if somebody is going to say to me, well, I'm not sure who is going to work at McDonald's, so I'm just going to vote to keep what we have now and pay 60% tax. I'm sorry, but I think we can do better reaching those people, and I think we have a lot more work to do. If that's the concern going into an independent Alberta is, where's my paycheck coming from? Yes, it's an important question. But the bigger question is, how is your paycheck impacted right now by laws that you can't control? I mean, I've watched.
It's unacceptable, and it only gets more unacceptable if I don't have one.
Yeah, I've watched Fort McMurray boom and bust, a dozen times since I've been in Alberta. Largely from things that Fort McMurray residents cannot control, which is federal policy. So if you're asking me what exactly is it going to be, I don't know. I can tell you that if we put our nose to the grindstone and we do the work and we take the path less traveled, that we can make it better for sure than what it is right now. Because the people that are making the decisions and electing the people that are making the laws are the ones that benefit or suffer the consequences. And that's why Adam says it's not going to be easy, but it would be worth it, right?
Okay, so I get that we're not currently in touch with any industry leaders on this subject.
Well, no, that's not correct at all. Yeah.
Oh, we're just not talking about it yet?
Sir, I can tell you
I
that
just retired from 40 years with Syncrude. I can tell you a lot more about the oil business than you think you know.
you're going to see a lot of people this summer, a lot of big names that are going to start to emerge, and they're going to start to endorse a lot of what we're trying to do. You're going to see, okay?
We're going to see some industry support?
Certainly.
I don't know if you guys, any of you guys, I'm going to direct this question at any of you guys. Right now in Alberta, in one or two coal mines in Alberta, as well as here in Fort McMurray oil sands, there is a Chinese Communist government partial ownership through companies right here at China Oil, just south of Fort McMurray, as well as Grand Cache coal mine. Do you guys know if the Alberta government had any say in allowing communist regimes to own pieces of Alberta like that? And if we do become dependent, will we be able to screen out questionable
Yes,
governments and regimes like that? from
there's
our
a there's a
reserve?
pipeline. It's half that Chinese company owned and half I think it's an Alberta company, but the Chinese are actually trying to buy out the other half. I can't remember what the pipeline's called. If anyone knows it, just maybe shout it out. But I was just looking at this a few weeks ago. My opinion is that our Alberta Constitution should prevent foreign ownership of our assets, anything more than 49%. Foreign investment is great. I mean, the Chinese bought the single largest land acquisition in the Athabasca oil sands between 2008 and 2013, I believe. And that injected billions and billions and billions of dollars in the economy. I worked for Sunshine Oil Sands up there. You know, there was a lot of people that made a lot of money, and some people retired up there. So foreign investment is a good thing, but under no circumstances should we be allowing foreign ownership to dictate how Alberta manages the resources. It should be, Alberta should be Alberta first, is what I'm saying.
I saw, as well as maybe other people saw it too, so I couldn't confirm if it was true or not, but a guy that actually saw Chinese military running around with automatic weapons on a Chinese site out here.
So a lot of times, yeah, you hear this on social media. There are men with AK-47s. Okay, who in this room can actually positively identify an AK-47 from a Facebook picture taken from 500 yards away? You can't.
If I'm out running around here with a assault type rifle, I get tackled to the ground and probably carried off to jail.
Okay, so let me finish what I'm saying. Chinese companies own major assets in Alberta. Those owners are allowed to hire private security to protect those assets. What weapons those private security have, I don't know. Do I really, do I believe it's Chinese military? I don't know, I've never been there, I've never asked them. But I would tell you, all I can tell you is, if an independent Alberta, a sovereign nation of Alberta, would not allow that, could not allow that. You can't have foreign military defending, you know, their assets in a sovereign nation like that. It can be completely unacceptable. I actually expected everybody in this room to be like, oh yeah, I could identify an AK-47 from 3 miles away. Yeah.
And that's that.
Well, I think that's it for questions. Like I said, if you, no, that's it for questions. But we're going to stick around for a little while, and you guys can come and talk to us one-on-one. Happy to talk more about these things. I would like to say thank you very much for coming out, and please remember to take this information to as many people as you can. Bring them to the next event. We will be back in, Shane?
I'm right here.
We will be back in around, how many months? 3 months?
3 months,
About 3 months we'll be back. So.
I just want to add something to it. Okay, I've been talking to a bunch of people here tonight that heard about this event only 45 minutes before it happened, but yet they had been sent messages on Facebook and the like. This was promoted very well by the local people, and yet people haven't seen it on Facebook. So what I need everybody in this room to do, please, is go to either letstalkalberta.com or the Whistle Stop Cafe Facebook page. It doesn't have a website yet, but letstalkalberta.com does. Grab the posters. Next week we're doing the Peace Country. If you know one person in the Peace Country, send them a copy of those posters and ask them to share it to 2 people. Because that is the only way we're going to get this out. With the amount of advertising that the local people did in this area, we should have had this room full. But if you didn't hear about it, how are you going to fill the room?
Shane, Laurence and I were talking about this before. So Laurence, how many total followers do you have?
I'm not counting, but it's 827,000.
Okay, so Laurence put the poster up for this. He's 827,000 social media followers. After 2 hours, it had 7 likes. The algorithm is suppressing this stuff like crazy. Like crazy. Really?
Yeah, that's why we have to get it out. Or go to freedomcalendar.net.
Yep.
Max also has the posters up there. You can grab them from there and share them.
Yeah, and also one thing in particular is that we do have currently 465 people watching online. Okay?
And I'm asking the people online to do the exact same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because even when I post this thing on Instagram, we have the same throttling as well. So. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you in Peace River on April the 10th. Bye for now.